Hi everyone, Kumar Danatran here with the Meridian Point, and today we're joined by Rene. I should have asked him how to say his last name. Rosendahl, head of product for the email hub and CRM at Circle, the all-in-one platform for community-led businesses. And here's what's interesting about Rene and Circle, Circle and Rene, depending on what order you want to go with. Rene just helped Circle go fully AI native with a launch called Eclipse. And then he deliberately kept the AI part away from the one thing that matters most in the community, which would be the community members. So we're here to find out why and how that's working out. He runs a role that fuses product and engineering into a single line of ownership. And Circle has shipped at a pace he says he's never seen without breaking the product. So let's invite Rene on stage and dive into Circle and how AI has been used to help that product serve its community members better. Hi, Rene. Welcome.
Hey, Kumar. Nice to be here.
Yes, I'm thrilled that you're here. I think our history goes back a little ways. We could sort of cross paths peripherally when with Agility Insights, which was then called Agile Transformations, I believe. And we've followed each other on LinkedIn and our careers over the years. So it's really great to have you on the show. So Rene, you started in ERP systems development, project management, and agile coaching, consulting, and then you walked away from all that to build products yourself. And now you're on your fourth startup. What broke for you in the consulting world that made you decide you'd rather own the thing than advise on it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think consulting was a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, I felt a little bit more like a mercenary. So I would find myself going like from, I don't know, team to team, different areas where I would help. And it was always about teaching others. And I felt like I needed to have a personal, more long-term stake in something and really enjoyed the process of shaping a product, working with others, solving a user problem. And so I think that led me ultimately into product management. Also, I guess in consulting, we're talking a lot about frameworks and methodologies, processes, and so forth. And I think at the end of the day, what people really care about is certain outcomes for their business, for their organization. And they really don't care as much in terms of how they get there. So that's, I think, part of it as well. So at the end of the day, I'm still, I guess, an agilist at heart, but fundamentally for me, it's about the principles much more so than the practices. And I definitely enjoy shaping a product and working on the same thing long term and just creating value for our users.
Yeah, that really resonates with me, the principles and the patterns over the process and the framework and things like that. And yeah, I find myself also feeling that that I too am in many cases a mercenary. I'm sort of sent in or brought in to go fix something, and that the executives that have signed the check have determined as to be the biggest constraint. It may or may not be. It's just what they think is the biggest constraint. And so I'm sent in to fix something that really isn't broken. And the people that are working in that area, not that they don't want me there, but they don't want me there. You know, I mean, they're like, we're good. And I don't know what it is that you're here to fix, but we're okay.
Yeah.
And so then I have to sort of understand where they are and where they're coming from. And I typically dish the framework talk and really try to get more into what the real constraints are.
Yeah. I guess in a role like mine, you really, because you're embedded in the organization long term, it's a different kind of working environment. You're building relationships with people and they know you're going to be around. You're not just a consultant popping in for a few weeks. So it's a different mode for sure.
Yeah, you're not the seagull swooping in, pooping on stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, in our call to prep for this podcast, you said that content is getting commoditized by AI. And what people actually want is a transformation they go through with other humans. So humans collaborating with other humans. Walk me through what that means for how a community should be built. And why just a course on its own doesn't cut it anymore.
Yeah. As we all know, I guess content is everywhere now, and it's getting cheaper, if not free, in many cases. And we're finding that a lot of content is now also AI generated, or at least AI influenced heavily. Excuse me. And ultimately, content alone is not sufficient. Excuse me. So imagine you're reading a book and you're walking away from that book not applying anything. You have the content available to you, but it's not really affecting your life. It's not necessarily making you or your life any better. And so really what I think people are looking for is not so much content. People are looking for transformation for themselves, for their lives, for their organizations. And community and human connections are just immensely helpful as part of the transformation. And so if you think of a course, you're taking a self-paced course online. It's kind of like reading a book. Yeah, you're going through and you're maybe doing some exercises, but compare that to a situation where you do this alongside a cohort of other people, right? Where you have folks that go through this at the same time with you. You have people you can interact with, discuss with them. You can hold each other accountable, right? So you're going through the same journey, the same progression together. How much more effective is that compared to, okay, I read a book or I took a 3-hour online course just on my computer and I'm walking away, right? So I think it's going to be much more effective. And then a community as such is still around content, but the content is also a little bit different. So you have content, you have courses, but not all of it is created by the person running the community either. So now you're getting content from the community leader basically, but then other people contribute content and discuss and bringing this in. So it's a much more interactive platform. And then certainly with Circle, on top of that, we're adding, I guess, all these interactions, discussions, chat, events, either live on the platform or even in-person events, and people forming connections and making friends. So I think that's really enriches kind of the experience, and you're taking it from, okay, I'm just consuming content to, hey, here's a journey. I'm going through a transformation with other people, and I'm building real relationships along the way, and I have an accountability system as well. So very, very different, I think, approach and also results in that case.
Yeah, I can certainly attest to that. We just introduced a course in a community platform, and there are parts of it that have AI embedded in the course to help them think through some of the problems. It's actually a course in product management, coincidentally. And the first couple of weeks of the cohort, it was telling how the conversation became more community based. The assignments that they posted got not only feedback from me as one of the course instructors, but also from the cohort that was taking the class, and that's only grown since then. And these people, they are all from the same company. I won't mention who. These people, I think they're starting to see the value of this stretched out cohort model versus a 2-day or 3-day or 4-day certification program, where it's kind of like you're getting bombarded with a lot of content. The book is being shoved into your brain, so to speak, over 4 days, versus spacing it out, getting to experience it, taking maybe some of those experiences back to the workplace, applying them, the lessons of what you learned, and it's a really much richer experience. So I can certainly agree, and I think it also depends on how the platform, the community platform, is designed. And Circle is pretty fantastic in how it enriches and connects people to each other in their experiences that they're sharing. Care to comment?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That's also my experience. Different ways to approach kind of courses and learning, but I think the more we get people together and go through something as a group, making it interactive, I think it's going to be much higher success rate than just passive consumption of video or other content.
Right. Circle just went AI native with Eclipse, but you made a deliberate choice to point the AI at the admin and keep it away from the member experience. Why draw the line there? And what happens to community when if you didn't do this, when robots start dominating the conversation that humans came for?
Great question. I think there's a lot of potential with AI, and the potential is around making the life of the community leader, the community admin, easier. So there's a lot of places where this can happen. There's setting up the community, figuring out the structure, the pricing, what are the maybe membership tiers, how to approach this, learning the product, in this case Circle, and AI almost acting in a consultative manner. And then there's a lot of operational drag. So think of all the things that a community leader has to do on a day-to-day basis. So things like content moderation, new members coming in, they have to be welcomed and shown around, in essence. They might answer the same questions over and over and over, and they're managing their memberships and they're working on retention. So all of this is operational drag that basically takes time away from the community leader spending time with the members on valuable things, or even creating new things, engaging the members. And so with that, I think there's a lot of potential for AI to help with those aspects. But the goal is always to make this a more human place and make it feel more human and not less human, right? So when the operational work is handled, the admin can apply themselves back to where they are. They can create real value for their members. And at the end of the day, what people are looking for is, I think, authenticity and connection, not more AI slop, I guess, right? So if the robots were to take over a community, a place, I think people ultimately sense that, and they will find less value or be so annoyed that they disengage from it. So I think it's a really important thing that if people come for community, for connection and transformation, this is not something we can easily automate on the member side. So we got to be really careful where we're applying AI and where we choose not to.
That's really good, isn't it? A much more intentional approach to AI. It's not AI everything. It's AI where it's needed and can provide the most value. And if it sort of counters the mission of the community, then you don't use it, right? And maybe at some point you might introduce some sort of AI presence in the community, but I suspect it'll be very intentional, serve a specific need, and not just, let's have robots engage in conversations to make it appear as if there's more going on than there actually is.
I mean, on the member side of things, where we believe there is value is, for example, summaries in very long threads, right? You're going into a post that has 15 replies back and forth, and just for people to quickly catch up, an AI summary, that's an obvious part where AI can provide value on the member side. But again, as you said, being very selective of where does it add value and where is it a distraction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, in the case of the course we developed, the AI is not in the platform at all. We're not using Circle, although that's something I'm going to explore after this conversation, and because we don't have any AI-enabled features for the admin side of the house, right, in the platform that we do use. Or at least if it's there, it's not to the level where what you're describing Circle does for the admin. But we did embed the AI and agents, I guess, as a complement to the course itself, so they can start to experiment with some of the techniques that we're teaching. And that's proved to be really useful for them and also for us, because we're seeing that the theory come to life because they're actually using it in their real world, like to figure out how to write, I don't know, stakeholder maps or journey maps or impact maps or things like that for their real work in their real world. And so light bulbs are going off, and it's generating a lot of really good conversation inside of the platform.
Yeah, nice. I think the other angle that we recently, and everybody is wrapping their head around what this really means because it's also new. And
Yeah.
so there's the more obvious angle of, okay, I'm doing things in the community with the help of AI. Okay, so that's, I don't want to say table stakes, but that's kind of the obvious place to start. But I think where we arrived is a place where you can have a value-added consultative conversation with the AI about your community and ask for ideas and insights and best practices and say, hey, look at my members. What do you see? What should I do next? What are some of the patterns that you observe? Where should I focus? And so not only is the AI able to execute things on behalf of the user, but ultimately provide like really valuable feedback back and becomes like a partner or coach in the process of running a community, and can add some real context and value based on all of Circle's combined experience that maybe somebody who's just new to running a community doesn't have yet. And so what should I do? How should I approach this? The more consultative and insights-oriented approach is also very interesting. It still marries up to, okay, I can do things in the community, but it's a different mode of working with it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense. So Rene, your role fuses product and engineering into one seat. Like you play what in most companies would be two separate roles. You play that. You serve both of those roles. The company I'm working for keeps them separate. Um, and they agree on everything but align on nothing. Right? Nothing really gets done. What does owning both actually change about the decisions you make and the speed at which you make them?
Yeah. Maybe a caveat, every organization is different in terms of like size, culture, products that they run, and its history. So there's no one size fits all. So I think what that means is whatever works at Circle may not translate well to other organizations, right? And I'm a little bit biased in that my background is a little bit more product than technology. But when I think about this question, I think ultimately technology and product aim to solve a problem for the user, the customer, with technology that at the same time still creates value for the company, right? That's ultimately the mission. And with that, I think the focus on product, the solution makes a lot of sense. So technology is still incredibly important there, and there's new capabilities almost every day, right? And so that's still super, super important. But at the end of the day, it's about solving the problem of the user that is important, how we package this technology and put it into to use in the with the goal of solving this particular problem. So technical capabilities on their own in isolation don't necessarily create value. And so in my role, I'm focused more on the why and the what, but at the same time, it's a very symbiotic relationship. So I need to work very closely with my technology leaders because we have to work together, right? We have to all contribute to the same mission in order to succeed. And by the way, there's one more party at the table, which we haven't talked about yet. That's design. That's another key participant, but maybe that's a different topic. But in terms of product and technology, we find that we're taking a pretty pragmatic approach. But we also can't ignore aspects like, I don't know, performance and security, maintainability, quality, and so forth. So whatever decisions I make in this environment, I need to live with the consequences as well. And I'm very aware of what that means. So ultimately, I think product and technology, just almost irregardless of how you organizationally structure it, I think needs to be a high trust and collaborative partnership with the ultimate goal of the user value creation. And so lastly, in terms of speed, Circle is definitely moving quite fast, and we can't afford to make perfect decision and overanalyze. Obviously, we can't be rash either in how we're approaching things, but we like to keep our options open, and we and think about extensibility in with regards to product and technology. So we're thinking 2-3 moves ahead, but we're releasing still an MVP and we're reacting on feedback. So it's a delicate dance, but I think we're all aligned, including our engineering partners, on what are we trying to really accomplish.
Yeah.
And me as a leader of product and engineering, I have to keep both in mind. I can't weigh too much on one side or the other, because ultimately we both have to deliver, and design, I guess, feeds into that as well, which is a key component of the solution we're creating.
So maybe it's more that you are in the role you're in because you are able to bring these different perspectives to the table, and that you are already aligned as to the direction, the vision, the product is meant to take, in service to the user experience in Circle. And your role, though it's technology and engineering together, it's more that, product and engineering together, it's more that you are sort of the conduit through which these perspectives come together, and you collaborate towards a shared outcome. Right?
Absolutely. And I think when we approach a new feature, a new project, I think we need to have a very healthy relationship with my technology leader. So I need to be able to go and say, hey, here's what we're thinking about. What does this look like from an engineering perspective? And they need to be able to come back to me and say, hey, you're crazy, or that we can't do this, or the timeline does not make sense. So we have to have a healthy back and forth to arrive at something that's desirable from a product perspective, feasible from an engineering perspective, it's usable from a design perspective, and it has all these things. So it's definitely a negotiation. It can't be just push it down and get it done in record time. I mean, you can do this for some period of time, but you're going to burn out people. You're going to create a poor product experience, and probably you're going to create a lot of technical debt. So this will not work for more than a year or two, and then I think it'll crumble. So I think a really healthy relationship in support of a common goal is really important here between product and
and I guess the lesson for companies where these roles are actually different humans, it's to me it's about the alignment more than anything else. You can agree on any number of things, but if you're not aligned, the agreement is just surface level, because it doesn't surface the conflict that may be underneath. And so it's better to strive for alignment, like what is the goal and how can we get there together, rather than, oh yeah, that looks good, and walk away and do something completely different.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So, again, you've alluded to this in the conversation so far, that Circle ships faster than any team you've ever seen, and somehow without building a Frankenstein. Most people would tell you that speed that high always creates a mess, right? A lot of technical debt and things like that. What are you doing? And you alluded to some of this, but maybe there's more. There's something deeper here. What are you doing that lets you move fast without the product falling apart?
Yeah, it's hard to answer, because it's almost like you're asking a high-performing basketball team to describe the chemistry that they have in order to make it repeatable for other teams. And so you certainly get to some answers, but at the end of the day, there's some secret sauce there. And Circle, of course, is not perfect, but maybe there are some key ingredients that come together within our organization that allow us to do this reasonably well. So one is we have a unique combination of leadership and the culture they create and the tone they set. So they combine technical, product, and design backgrounds very effectively, which is kind of maybe an unusual constellation, if you will. So they're not just visionaries, they're involved visionaries, and they're people that can sweat the details, that can get into the details if needed, and yet they're still allowing the teams to make decisions and delegate as needed. And they're system thinkers and designers, have great product sense, and we're ensuring consistency of the fairly large app to avoid kind of Conway's law. And maybe another anti-pattern I've seen in other organizations is we're not building one-off features just for one customer. That's probably the quickest road to a Frankenstein. And the way we're approaching product is more, we're trying to think at any point in time 6, 12, 24 months ahead. So we have a vision of where we're wanting to go. And we're kind of moving towards that vision. But on the more practical side, we have, I want to say, really fantastic engineers. So they combine great technical skills, great communication, coordination, ownership, but also product sense. So that's really helpful. We have a shared infrastructure and architecture with a shared design system. So that ensures some consistency while you have like multiple teams with the fingers in the pot, so to speak. And to that, on that angle, actually, it's important that you want to enable teams to ship fast on their own. And you want to make them almost independent and remove outside dependencies. Like as an agile coach, I'm sure you're talking about dependencies a lot and enabling team to ship fast. But at the same time, you can't go overboard on this because ultimately whatever is being created still needs to fit into the larger whole. So there needs to still be the right balance of, okay, the team can ship fast, but how do you ensure consistency across, and what mechanisms can you create to still ensure cross-team coordination and collaboration? So it's a tricky balance, right? And so that certainly takes some tweaking and optimization. And then lastly, I guess Circle is shipping fast, but ultimately the things we're shipping fit into larger Circle iterations and life cycle. So it's almost like you almost get a reset. So with Eclipse, in essence, this is a little bit of a reset, a new starting point for the product. It's like a macro cycle, if you will. So we internally started initially referring to this as Circle 4.0, and there was a Circle 3.0. And I think those bigger iterations every few years kind of combine a number of different things. And it's almost like you have a reset point, and anything that's kind of gone a little bit off the rails and started to drift a little bit, you can kind of reset back as starting the next macro iteration, if you will. And then you still got to listen to customer feedback, and we're going to make mistakes and fix those. But the combination of all these factors, I think, have allowed us to move very fast. And we call it product velocity, maybe more so. It's not, we're not trying to do feature factory. We're not talking about agile velocity, but it's really rapid impact on the product, on our customers. That's kind of what we're aiming for. And we're getting a few things wrong, but overall it's been successful, even though the organization has grown quite a bit from just 2 years ago. And so the cultural aspects and leadership is still important to be the glue that kind of holds it all together and creates kind of this common foundation a little bit.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You mentioned the impact, and I'm sure that you have things in place where you're measuring the impact of the things that you're delivering for your customers, your Circle customers. What's that cycle look like? You know, how do you sort of decide, okay, in our next micro or even macro cycle, these are the things, these are the sort of the areas we want to get to, and these are the kind of impacts that we're looking to achieve, both for the company and our customer. What does that look like?
Certainly more art than science. I think in 10 organizations, you'll find 10 different versions of this complicated dance, right? You're trying to combine vision and long-term product strategy with short-term feedback, with bugs that are coming in, and thinking about how to act on all of these things. We're certainly listening to our customers a lot. We're getting feedback from our customer success team, from our support team. We have a customer community where our customers interact with us. We have mechanisms in product to get feedback, and then we're combining this with quantitative data we're getting around how people are using AI, how people are using the product. Myself, I love to poke around in the database and get some quantitative information there. But ultimately, it's an art form to take all of that and bring it together and combine it with kind of the vision for the product. And we've elected to do quarterly planning, not in the safe sense, quarterly planning, more in the sense of coming together with leadership, product engineering, and just kind of try to map out the quarter and look at our different priorities, the feedback we've received so far, and come up with the reasonable plan as to, hey, here's how we're approaching the next quarter. And that happens at the team level. But then also in some cases, multiple teams need to be on the same page in terms of priorities to deliver on something maybe larger. Like Circle AI or Eclipse has been one of those efforts where you need to almost like the whole company, the whole engineering organization to be in synchrony to deliver this, because it's not just one team's responsibility. It's something that is cross-cutting. So the quarterly plans were set such that all teams were focusing on this at the same time. So again, it's a very interesting problem to solve.
Yeah, for sure. And you're right. It is more art than science, but it seems like you're doing the right things to, to measure the success of your product velocity. And it's not just velocity; it's also the impact that velocity is providing you and your customers, ultimately. And I suppose, I don't know if this is the way you're going, but using AI to sort of look and see how the customers are using the community tools and what tools are getting more use. And maybe AI is not needed for some of those things. I mean, people were doing that, 20 years ago, right? Analyzing what features got more attention. I remember a story about Gmail being in beta for 8 or 10 years or something, and while Google sort of analyzed what features of Gmail people used most and which ones they didn't, and that shaped the product strategy for that tool that was finally released in production. But it was for beta for years, and millions of people used it. Or another example would be the full self-driving, the mislabeled full self-driving from Tesla, right? So it's we're all the testers. We're people like me that own a Tesla, and it's certainly not full self. Well, it's close. I mean, it's pretty impressive, but they can't call it that anyway. So it's full self-driving supervised.
Yeah, I think maybe on the note of testing, and I didn't mention this earlier, depending on the size of the project or the feature we're introducing, we're also trying to get early feedback loops going. So we might release something either, let's say, internally to our own community, or we might release something to a small set of partners, or we might have an alpha with a relatively small group, expanding this into a beta and then gathering feedback, iterating. And then by the time a GA launch happens, we've already gone through multiple iterations and refinements before maybe the general public even sees something. So that's another mechanism that we're looking at based on kind of the risk. Is it technical risk? Is the product risk? So it's part of getting something refined enough to confidently launch it to everyone. Yeah,
very interesting. So for a leader listening to this podcast who's either runs a community or is thinking about starting one, or maybe they're not even thinking about starting a community, it's really more about product strategy and how to evolve a product from nothing to something that has impact. Maybe with or without AI, right? So what's the first move they should make with AI that gives them time back without taking away from the human element, if you will?
Yeah. So I'm hoping they are on Circle, because we're the first, I guess, AI native platform. So if they're on a different platform, I'm not sure how much AI will be helpful to them. But if they were on Circle, really get help figuring out what the community should look like, the structure, the plans, the subscriptions, memberships, the products, the pricing, and either set it up accordingly or adjust it. And with Circle AI, you can have these consultative conversations now, which is really cool. that bring a lot of this knowledge from Circle to bear. And we talked a little bit about the operational stuff. So use that as much as possible to reduce the drag on your time, and get simply headspace back to focus on real creating value, engaging members, that kind of stuff. And then I mentioned this consultative insight, or the consultative insights you can get from AI, but really using this as a thought partner and asking it, hey, what do you see? What can I do next? What are some best practices I need to follow? Or I have a sense that here's something going on. Can you look at the details and let it analyze this for you? Come back with this, and then partner with it on, is this something you need to address? And if so, then how do you address it? What should be the things you need to do there? So it becomes more of a business and community advisor. And nowadays, even you have an MCP with Circle. You can do this in like the tool of your choosing, if you will, or certainly in Circle AI that has more of the Circle context. I think at the end of the day, AI or not, for somebody who's leading a community or running a community, it's really about engaging members, providing value, not just in terms of content, but also being a catalyst to members' transformations and helping people connect and emphasizing the human aspect. I think that's probably what one could consider the lifeblood of a community.
Sure.
Those are kind of the key things that come to mind.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're getting to the almost a 40-minute mark. Anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share about Circle, about community building in general? Anything at all?
No, I think we covered a lot of ground. So I don't know if you had any other aspects you wanted to drill into. Happy to.
There's so much. It's just in the interest of time, we probably should cut this one short and invite you back if you're open to it for another conversation into other topics related to community building, to AI, to there's so many tangents we can go through. Like what is it that is important that about a community that makes people want to join, and how do you create that pull, if you will, for people wanting to join a particular community, and then how do you keep them there? I'd love to explore some of those types of questions, maybe in a follow-up conversation, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to chat.
All right, awesome. Well, Rene, thank you so much for getting on the show and sharing your perspectives on AI, on community building, on product, the collaboration that needs to be essential to any sort of product strategy between product engineering, design, architecture, sort of those three stools, right? Feasibility, I forget how you put it, usability, and something else. I don't remember what the third one was. But those are really important things to think about, whether it's one person sitting in the chair or three people that have a voice. Ultimately, it's about bringing those perspectives together and gaining alignment. So I appreciate your time and your sharing.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. Bye-bye.